Prepare yourself for the killing blow, Arch Jin Dahaad. It's been fun, but none can stand against great sword.
God damn it!
Hello then, my fellow greatest swordist pickers. I have 3 things to say to you. Number 1, congratulations once again on selecting the best weapon. Just truly fabulous job. Number 2, I hope you have had a wonderful Christmas and that Santa Gog brought you everything that you could desire. And number 3, well, what we all definitely did get brought for Christmas was a little bit of Arch Jin Dahaad with a little bit of Arch Jin Dahaad Gamma Armor, which is particularly strong. But before we get into that, well, Arch Jin Dahaad himself, who, I don't know about you guys, but will just not stop running back and forth, which is really annoying when you're trying to stab him with a huge sword. But other than that, he is quite the satisfying encounter. There's a lot of really important timings, and given how much damage he does, you certainly don't want to be missing your offsets, your perfect blocks, and your tackles, and it definitely is a nice little slugfest, at least from a great sword's perspective. I have thoroughly enjoyed giving him some right proper solos, and I hope you guys are having a good time with him too. But given that I am here speaking to you once more, obviously then AT Jin does some improving to some great swordliness, and I wasn't really sure that would happen because we're already reaching quite ridiculous heights when it comes to just, you know, the title update 4 base stuff with our Gogma, our extra set bonuses, and the deliciousness that is weaving in your Bale, your Doshagama, your Lord Soul, and the mountain of skills on top. So having a quick look at Arch Jin then, well, the main pieces for us, of course, are the 2 agitator double 2-slot chest, which is fairly efficient, the triple agitator waist, which is incredibly efficient, and honestly the double wex and 2-slot legs. All of them are certainly worth looking at, but outside of the kind of raw strength of some of these pieces, which in a lot of cases still remain kinda side grades to the things we already had access to in base title update 4, especially when it comes to pairing as many 2 sets as possible to get maximum bang for your buck, is actually another 2 set, Binding Counter. You see, Jin Dahaad's set bonus actually has a fair bit of potential. It was getting used way back at the start for some niche speedrunner-esque matchups because its raw damage increase is insane. Binding Counter 2 is plus 50 raw for a buffed to 90-second duration in title update 4. So that means after completing a power clash, which obviously is great sword, you're both a power clashing weapon and one that's going to have them happen anyway because you will be perfect guarding things, you then get this absolute steroid of 50 raw for 90 seconds. Now obviously we can't use Binding Counter level 2 because we're not going to be using 4 pieces of Jin Dahaad because even with the Gamma, that's just a huge net loss of set potential. But being able to get Binding Counter 1 as a sort of just bonus to getting Lord Soul, which we want anyway, yeah, and Binding Counter 1 is plus 25 raw. If we use this Chadacabra here as a little bit of a demo, we're on 294 attack right now, and if we get into a power clash with him and see Binding Counter activate, as it will, bosh, we go up to that 319 plus 25, which is really quite meaty. And remember, it also activates if you get frosted to the floor, like AT Jin will do to you a lot, or if you get webbed. And there are a lot of matchups then that can take advantage of it, not just clashes. And if you can keep activating it over and over and over again and maintain that 25 raw, yeah, that's a huge gain. The only real issue is that for matchups where you can only activate it with the power clash, well, they happen much less frequently than once every 90 seconds. Both because the monster can only power clash so often, and two, while you will be perfect guarding attacks and one will happen naturally, you're not looking to do that, like, go out your way to do it a lot. It's just sort of an option. If you were specifically constantly spam blocking things to trigger extra clashes to get more binding counter, you'd ironically be outputting much less damage because you're putting all your eggs in that basket. So look at it as a potential nice little extra in certain hunts more than a new wow, let's build around it thing. That said though, we do have upgrades, so let's talk about them. Firstly, just a quick reminder of our Ostrak Oblivion, our Gogmatian ideal setup. You do want to be element matching to the monster you're hunting's weakness. You'll get more damage over the course of the hunt out of it, especially with how long the endgame hunts are getting. Certainly for anything challenging 9.5 title update monsters, yeah, you want to match their element weakness, but thankfully it ends there and we don't have to have any element skills. Oh! In any case, we then want an attack-focused Gogmatian, and we want to have the following rolls. 1 Sharpness Boost EX, 2 Attack Boost EX, and 2 Attack Boost Level 3. A Affinity EX instead of an Attack Boost 3 is so near as damn it close that if that's what you happen to have, you don't need to pull your hair out re-rolling. In any case, this is where it's at, and you end up with that lovely 257 raw weapon, which is still absolutely absurd. And as for the set bonus skills, you do want Doshagama's Might and Lord's Soul. That's not changed from the initial Title 4 update I did. That came out as the best set, as I said there, and of course I will do a reminder of that today, because technically it still is the best set. We'll get to it. For now though, let's talk our new best no RNG anywhere full crafted option, which looks a little something like this. So using new AT Jin chest along with your Ray Gamma helmet, your Bale gloves, and your Gamma waist and Bale legs. Of course, 2-set Bale is the first and foremost most important thing and mandatory for greatswords. It's like a just over 10% damage increase. It's ridiculous, but in any case, then that Lord's Soul afterwards to get that 5% base raw buff. And you'll notice then that it's not just Jin Dahaad's new Gamma chest that's involved, but his upgraded to level 3 agitator talisman, which means before we even put decorations in, not that there's a huge amount of slots, we're at max agitator, max latent, and max maximum might, with a little bit of weakness exploit left over, which is particularly good. So let's decorate it up. And we end up like so, getting counterstrike in and to level 3, and putting 1 more weakness exploit in, coupled with the 1 rank of burst, which is going to do more than 1 more rank of weakness exploit, though it's really close if you prefer not seeing bursts activated constantly appearing on your screen. Weapon decorations of course remain the same, 5 crit boost and then a focused handicraft. This then is a really lovely just solid packet of skills that gives some real oomph to say that there's no RNG required anywhere here, and mathematically, well, it speaks for itself. You will be coming out at an incredibly respectable 534 effective raw with this, which is hefty and makes earlier Wild's life cycle just look cute in comparison, and a decent little couple % gain over base title update 4. Now let's upgrade it with an RNG talisman, which is the old classic 3 attack 1 agitator, and you put that 4th attack in the 1 slot there to get us that lovely 4 attack. You can use any extra slots as you wish. Physique is good for ranks of constitution, so you've got more maximum might uptime, or put in a bit of divine blessing for some protection. In any case, everything else stays exactly the same decorations and same pieces of armor. What we essentially do here is simply swap 2 2 ranks of agitator for 4 attack boost, which, while not a ginormous gain and certainly not worth hard grinding a talisman if you don't already have it for, is still technically a gain, and it's a gain that looks like this, bringing us to 539 EFR, a whole 5 above the full crafted version. So yeah, there is that. And once again, thanks to Jin Dahaad's Gamma for enabling it. After this, then, is where it gets a little bit kind of, honestly, awkward. Because this remains the best greatsword build that you could ask for if you could have ideal RNG everything. This is the same ideal best build that I went over and showed in the previous title update for Build Update. No matter what I do or tinker with, math out or theorycraft, none of the Jin Dahaad pieces can make this better, and that is definitely a shame, but it also is a testament to just how clean this build actually is. And that's why you want ideally your Gogma set bonus on the Artian, Gogma's Might, because it will combo with the waist here in order to give us that 2 set powerhouse, which is plus 10 raw every time you offset for 3 minutes. And, you know, greatsword just about manages 1 offset per 3 minutes, you know, it's a push, but we kind of get there, which essentially makes powerhouse 1 just a full plus 10 raw, which for a 2 set bonus, yeah, is really, really good, given how consistent its uptime is. In any case, if you are wanting other set options for other perfect rolls of your Gogmatian, if you get gore magala, or if you get Bale instead of Gogma and you don't want to keep rolling, there is other set options in the previous title update for Greatsword Update, but today with the AT, I just want to present the best options as a kind of this is where we still are, and this is the one for Greatsword. With decorations in, we end up like so: 5 Wex, 5 latent power, and max counterstrike and maximum might, and once again that single point of agitator from the talisman should be a single point of burst, but I simply don't have a 1 burst 3 attack talisman, so you just got to imagine that that 1 agitator is 1 burst, as it does do more for the build than a single agitator. In any case though, this gives us an absolutely monstrous 568 effective raw, and that's kinda ridiculous, all things considered. Like, that is so very high. And it should be noted that the talisman can be 1 burst or 1 weakness exploit, and then you just swap a weakness exploit decoration as needed. If you've got Wex on the talisman, then you just put a burst in place of a tenderizer here, so you do have 2 options for that perfect roll. If you don't have an RNG talisman, then you simply just put in the new 3 agitator charm and accept 3 agitator on top of the build. Otherwise, it all remains the same, and this is still going to give you fantastic results above the previous 2 sets, so that is an option. So I guess, technically speaking, Arch Jin Dahaad does help this be even better if you're not rocking a god roll talisman that can beat 3 agitator. So yeah, as it currently stands then, AT Jin kind of awkwardly really benefits our non-Gogma set bonus roll build in our full no RNG crafted and then just talisman, but struggles to break its way into the peak of everything has gone perfectly for you. However, I did talk about binding counter, and there is arguments to use it. So if we go into this then is what we're looking at. Bale helmet, Gamma Jin chest, Bale gloves, gore magala waist alpha, and your Gamma legs. And talisman wise, you want 1 weakness exploit and 3 attack. I don't have a 1 weakness exploit and 3 attack, so again, imagine this single agitator is a weakness exploit. In any case then, this gives us a really nice little base here here, and that base outside of the skills is your binding counter, is your 2-set Veil Dark Arts, and is your 2-set gore magala. Now, it's not activated because my weapon has Artian, obviously, so if you do want to run this set, you need to have a Gogma Artian that has gore magala set bonus on it. So, a second one, ideally, is you don't want to get rid of a Artian's Might one, because you still want that for the previous set. But in any case, just imagine that the gore magala's Tyranny is active instead of that one bit of Artian's Might. And then Lord Soul as usual. This then, when we get it fully decorated up, results in this. We would have 5 weakness exploit if my talisman was the weakness exploit that it should be, so imagine that, and then we get ourselves 2 agitator, 3 counterstrike, 3 maximum might, the antivirus is there, and this time I've not accidentally put a 4th one in. Yay! I am only human, guys, and this is interesting. So if we imagine that you can keep binding counter up for just 20% of the hunt, so 5 minutes out of every 20, then the maths on this set comes out to this, at 563 effective raw. Now, the reality is it's a little bit lower than that, because of course Gore Magala 2 set isn't permanently up, so you don't permanently have that 25% affinity. It's just a nice, easier way to do it in the maths. But the point is, with at least 20% binding counter uptime, this becomes fairly damn competitive. And against something like particularly AT Jin, where you could easily see yourself getting frozen once every 3 minutes, so you have 50% uptime, you start to see some real power from this. Now, that said, of course, even with that 20% uptime, 563 effective raw, that's still less than the 568 effective raw of the previous set. And even if we lower the previous set a little bit with some less latent power uptime and be, you know, generous to this set, it still is so close that relying on binding counter is a little bit iffy versus just the base set being good. But if you are wanting to use binding counter, if you want to take it into some power clash matchups, if you're planning on hunting Nursilla a whole lot and really suck at dodging her web shot, this one definitely has potential, and it's worth considering, and definitely something I wanted to share in any case for your consideration. And talking of binding counter consideration, you can do the first 2 sets we looked at in a configuration that gets binding counter without losing any skills. So before, you had a Ray Dao helmet on, which made the 2-set Ray Dao, which gave you more latent power uptime. That's best in most cases. But if you swap the helmet to Gamma Jin Dahaad as well, then we activate binding counter. Everything else is still the same, the set still has the exact same effective raw, but now we can activate binding counter. So if you are going against Jin Dahaad, if you're going against a monster that will trigger it from an effect, if you're going against a monster with clashes, this version of the full no RNG only crafted set 1 is going to do you better, and is certainly worth swapping simply a helmet over and redoing a couple decorations to pursue. And same difference with the RNG Talisman version of it, we'd still just put on our 1 agitator and 4 attack charm, and everything else remains the same, the double Dahaad at the top. So that's certainly something to think about, and does just improve this set against monsters that clash or monsters that can trigger binding counter through their moveset. Ultimately though, this remains your average best peak of Greatsword as things currently stand, and well, there's nothing wrong with that. I really do like using Artian 2 set, and it is still massively powerful. Alright then, ladies and gentlemen, that's your Arch Jin Dahaad Greatsword build update, and once again, I hope you have been having a lovely, lovely holiday period, and are gearing up for a fantastic New Year's too, whatever, however, and wherever you celebrate. And I will see you all in the new year, eventually for Arch-tempered arkveld set updates, which I'm quite hopeful for, but in any case, until then, for now, like you've enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more, consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below. It really means the world how much you guys look forward forward to and enjoy these great sword updates. It's just absolute pride and joy to do them. I love this weapon and I love this community. But yes, until we meet again, goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.